Ikey, it's beautiful outside. How are we feeling?
It is beautiful outside, Brother
man.
Spike.
Let's do the show outside.
My goodness. Spring's not here yet, but it is on the way, Brother Spike.
I smell it.
You smell it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Smell what the Rockets cooking?
Mm-hmm.
Free agency is also on the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm ready for it to be a quiet free agency. We'll get to that in just a moment.
We will in like 2 seconds.
Get to that, yes. Yep. Jackie Baseball. Hey. Harp's in the lineup today.
Oh, sure is.
Oh, man. That's what I'm talking about. Holla at your boy.
Gabriel Rincones Jr. just went yard. I know you guys are excited.
Oh, I'm very excited.
Prospect.
Ooh.
Why not Rincones?
Yeah, well, boy.
Goodness.
Your next guy? Well, Nathan Miller's your next guy, right?
What is his last name?
Rincones.
Rincones.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. He's got a sweet lefty swing. You like that.
Okay.
All right, back to the
All
Eagles.
right, yeah. Enough of that. Man, this is actually a really big show today. Elliot will join us from the NFL Draft Combine at 3. Flyers and 50 at 3:30 as the Fly Boys flying high after a 6-1 win.
Rose.
The High Hopes Jackie Baseball Report coming your way at 4. We will talk about that lineup and where everybody's hitting. The new Eagles Insider of the Year Power Rankings happens. Oh my God, it is enormous. But I think, with how with what? Oh yeah. Well, I never said that. Nobody's ever said that to me.
You guys don't understand how small it is.
Correct. So I was thinking about this quote from Howie yesterday when he said something to the effect of, this offseason might not look the way that you might not understand it. It might not be the way that you think. And here we are talking about Myles Garrett and all that kind of stuff. And I think Howie and the Eagles are maybe trying to outsmart themselves. I think Howie and the Eagles might be looking at last year and the success they had last year and sort of impressed with themselves. And the first sign I got was the signing of Kevin Patullo, which he might be a great offensive coordinator,
Good hire.
without talking to anybody else, without doing a worldwide search for this giant franchise that everybody wants to work with. And then I start thinking about us keeping our own players, and all this draft success we've had over the last couple of years. The Eagles need to go get a star this offseason. They need to make a splash. It always works when you go get a star. The Eagles got Saquon. They went to the Super Bowl. The Eagles got AJ. They went to the Super Bowl. The Eagles got T.O. They went to the Super Bowl. The Cowboys 30 years ago went and got Deion Sanders. They won the Super Bowl. The Patriots went and got Randy Moss. They went undefeated. The 49ers got Christian McCaffrey. They went to the Super Bowl. Like the Rams went and got Matt Stafford and Von Miller. They went to the Super Bowl. I can point to all these times where we've drafted players and it hasn't worked. But I cannot point to a lot of times where we went and we got a star player and it didn't work. And I don't care if it's Max Crosby. I don't care if it's Myles Garrett. What I know is the Eagles it would be smart of them to go get a star, even if they need to trade draft capital, and even better, not just a star, but a star who hasn't won before, a star who can walk into that locker room and say, I know how the other half lives, a star who could walk into that locker room and see all these guys that might be a little too comfortable, maybe a little too impressed with themselves. Look, the Eagles did a great thing last year, but just because they did it that way doesn't mean they need to do it that way every year. Go get me a star difference maker, the Philadelphia Eagles, and let's go win another one, Ike. Give me a star.
Yeah, listen.
Yes.
I got to admit, that was impressive.
Thank you.
That was impressive.
All right.
You put some work into that one.
Yeah, I got to give you
Okay. All right. Thank you. I didn't know where that was coming.
That was good.
Okay.
That was good. As a I'm usually a star hunter myself.
Yes.
But so you made a compelling argument. But here's the thing, Spike. In all seriousness, I'm not telling you you're wrong. And that's why I said that was a great argument you brought up there. Great data to support the argument.
Yes, sir.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Each team isn't created the same. The Eagles do have to think about the future. They want to be smart in these next moves. The one thing that I'll say that the Eagles didn't do, and Howie sort of admitted it, he didn't go both feet in and just condemning what he did and what the organization did after the first time they won the Super Bowl. But I think there is some great self-reflection there that they had when they viewed the roster, and instead of necessarily viewing it with rose-colored glasses and thinking that you just can run it back, it's different with this team. This isn't trying to run it back with a bunch of players that have already had their best year. That's the argument I can make about that 2017 team, is that other than maybe Fletcher, Jason, Lane, and BG, maybe,
Rick Lovato.
No, forget about that. I'm talking about which players had better years after that.
Right. That was the peak of a lot of their years.
That was the peak of the majority of that team where they had their best year. Where I look at this team and I'm saying to myself, the defense, we know they're just scratching the surface. Like, we know the defense is just scratching the surface of what they could be. They were ahead of schedule. We didn't expect them to be as good as they were this past year. And you got a lot of those guys coming back. So you got to think about what you're going to do to retain that talent moving forward. And then offensively, AJ's in his prime. Devontae's about to enter that. And when I say in their prime, I mean, this isn't when you say prime, it doesn't last for a year or two. Like, these guys' prime is going to last 5 years. Like, AJ can do what he did for the last 2 years. He can do that 2 to 3 more years with no problem at 26, 27 years old. Devontae is a year or two younger than AJ. Jalen has been 25 for 4 years. So, like, he's still 25 or 26 years old. He's just entering his prime, not even really entered his prime, and he's already gone to 2 Super Bowls. And the offensive line, for the most part, other than Lane, is still relatively young. It's a young offensive line. We bring back Mekhi Becton. I say these things to say, Spike, when I look at the guys, they're going to have to think about managing the cap and re-signing. I'll start with Mekhi Becton at 25 years old. Then I'll go to Cam Jurgens, right? I'll go there. And then I'll go to the defensive side of the ball, and I can name several guys over there that you want to make cornerstone players, meaning they're going to be due for extensions. If that's the case, and that's coming up over the next year or two, then Howie does have to keep that in mind. And even I had to take a step back because I was in that boat with you. I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't want Myles. I was right there yelling for Myles Garrett with you and Jack. I was all in favor of it. But then I did have to take a step back and say to myself, okay, this isn't just about next year, although I want them to compete for a title next year. This is about building a team that you can have sustained success with and retain the young talent that you want to keep here. And bringing in a guy like Myles Garrett, as tempting as it is, it's going to cost you a lot, not only in draft capital, but it's also going to cost you a lot in salary cap space. Can you pay Myles Garrett as the best defensive player in football what he deserves to be paid, and then turn around and pay Jalen Carter as a young, upcoming star the type of contract he and his agent is going to be looking for next year? Not to even mention the Nolan Smiths, Cooper DeJean, and Quinyon Mitchell 2 years from now. Like, they have to think about all of this stuff when making moves this offseason. And I think Howie, being honest with us, kind of gave us a glimpse into the way that they're thinking, the way they're gonna approach this offseason. And for once, I can't be upset with the selective, sort of cautionary approach versus being aggressive and go all in. I love Howie's season as much as everybody does. And I'm usually in favor of him doing something. This I get. This I understand. I understand not being as aggressive this offseason. I can't be critical of them because it makes sense. It makes good business sense.
215-592-9494. Do the Eagles need to make a big splash and go get a big star this offseason? I agree with you that young players are important, but when you talk about the future is now. The future is the next 2 or 3 years. I'm not worried what Myles Garrett's going to look like in 5 years or Max Crosby's going to look like in 5 years. Here is an opportunity to win another Super Bowl. And you say, AJ might have this many good years and Devontae might have this many good years. I don't know. I mean, probably. I would hope so, but that's not given. What's given is now, and I want to go win another Super Bowl now, and I know stars are the way to do it. Jack, what do you think?
I don't even know who I'm looking at in there. I think it's just who am I listening to? It's just, what if they win next year? whatever. We got our Super Bowl. We're fine.
Kind of.
Yeah, listen.
Double down.
Is it the end of the world if we don't win next year?
Of course not. We can start ripping them again? Oh, are you kidding me? But I can already just feel, not even Ike, I'm feeling the callers, and it's like, well, the young kids, and blah, 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 blah. Listen, they've done a good job drafting. That's not going to last forever. Like, getting Quinion Mitchell and Cooper G in the same draft, that's not going to happen, okay? So go get a star. Don't you want to add to this thing? Like, this is a 3-year window. That's how you got to look at it. It's a 3-year window. You might as well max it out as much as you can, and then you can have your little dip. Like, do you want a dynasty?
I'm not expecting a dip.
There's going to be a dip. These guys are going to get old at some point. I mean, they're going to start entering into the high 20s.
I'm gonna record this, and I'm going to play it for you when you're prospect hugging at the Phillies deadline, by the way.
They're untouchable, and they're my close
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Draft pick huggers, and I went through that with the Sixers. Oh, we get this pick, we get that pick. You know what you get? Jaleel Okafor and Nerlens Noel. Go get me a friggin' star.